Hey everybody, it's Halo Flame here, and I'm coming at you today with another theory. This is a cartoon theory, namely the PIXAR theory. So essentially, this theory is about connecting the universe of Pixar. This theory covers every Pixar film since Toy Story, which I believe was their first, and it includes A Bug's Life, Toy Story 2, Monsters Inc., Finding Nemo, The Incredibles, Cars, Ratatouille, WALL-E, Up, Toy Story 3, Cars 2, Brave, and Monsters University. Now, this is not my own theory, it comes from the brilliant mind of John McGrothy. Go check his website out. Here we go. Brave is the first and last movie in the timeline. This movie is about a Scottish kingdom during the Dark Ages. It is the earliest time period covered by Pixar films, but it's also the only Pixar film that explains why animals in the Pixar universe behave like humans sometimes. In Brave, Merida discovers magic that can solve her problems, but inadvertently turns her mother into a bear. We find out this magic comes from an odd witch seemingly connected to the mysterious Will-o'-the-Wisps. Not only do we see animals behaving like humans, but we also see brooms, inanimate objects, behaving like people in the witch's shop. We also learn that the witch disappears every time she passes through the doors. Sounds familiar. And that leads us to believe she may not exist. Don't get ahead of me though, we'll come back to Brave. Let's just say the witch is someone we already know from another Pixar film. So, centuries later, the animals from Brave that have been experimented on by the witch and other magic users to create rats and fish and other animals that are smart like humans. And they have interbred, creating a large-scale population of animals slowly gaining personification and intelligence on their own. So there are two progressions in this theory, the progression of animals, the progression of AI, artificial intelligence. The events of the following movies set up a power struggle between humans, animals, and machines. The stage for all-out war in regards to the animals is set by Ratatouille, Finding Nemo, and Up. Notice I left out A Bug's Life, and I'll explain later. Those movies in that order. Ratatouille. In Ratatouille, we see animals experimenting with growing their personification in small experiments. Remy wants to cook, something only humans do, so he crafts a relationship with a small group of humans and finds success. Meanwhile, the villain of Ratatouille, Chef Skinner, disappears, and what happens to him? What does he do with his newfound knowledge that animals were capable of using their instincts to perform duties better than humans? Well, is it possible that Charles Muntz, the antagonist of Up, learned of these rumors, giving him the idea to begin inventing devices that would harness the thoughts of animals, namely his dogs, through translator collars. Those collars indicated to Muntz that animals are smarter and more like humans than we think. He needed this technology to find the exotic bird he was obsessed over, and comments on how many dogs he's lost since the arrival of South America. But then all his experiments and Doug are set free after Muntz dies, and we don't know what happens after that. But what we do know is that the animosity between animals and humans is growing steadily. Now that the humans have discovered the potential of animals, they're beginning to cross the line to develop this new technology. The humans begin an industrial revolution hinted at in Up. In the beginning of Up, Carl is forced out by cooperation, because they are expanding the city. Think on that. What corporation is guilty for polluting the earth and wiping out life in the distant future because of technology overreach? By and large, BNL, a corporation that runs just about everything by the time we get to WALL-E. In the history of BNL commercial from the movie, we are told that BNL has taken over the world's governments. Interestingly, it's the same organization alluded to in Toy Story 3, where you can see a hint of BNL battery in Buzz's battery pack. In Finding Nemo, we see an entire population of fish rising up to save Nemo, who has been captured by the humans. Lines are being crossed by humans, uh, and humans are beginning to antagonize increasingly a network of intelligent animals. And that's the furthest movie in the animal side of things. When it comes to AI, we start with The Incredibles. Who is the main villain of this movie? You probably thought Buddy, aka Syndrome, who basically commits genocide on superpowered humans. Or does he? Buddy didn't have any powers. He used technology to reenact revenge on Mr. Incredible for not taking him seriously. Seems a little strange that the man went so far as to kill all the supers, though. And how does he do this? By creating a killbot, AI. He learns learns every move of a superhuman and adapts. When Mr. Incredible is first told about the machine, Mirage mentions it as it has advanced artificial intelligence gone rogue. Mr. Incredible points out that it got too smart to wonder why it had to take orders. The Omnidroid eventually turns on Syndrome and starts attacking humans in the city. Why would an AI want to attack randomly? Well, because of its programming. It was programmed to attack all humans that were put in front of it. But that doesn't necessarily mean AI are violent. Enter Toy Story. Here we see humans using and discarding objects that are clearly sentient beings. Yes, the toys love it, Uncle Tom style, but over the course of Toy Story sequels, we see toys becoming fed up. But wait, toys are inanimate objects, aren't necessarily machines, so how do they have some kind of intelligence? Well, Syndrome points out the answer. He tells Mr. Incredible that his lasers are powered by zero-point energy. This energy that exists in a vacuum is unseen energy we find in wavelengths, and a reasonable explanation for how toys are able to draw power. By the events of the Toy Story movies, we are in the 90s until 2010. It's been 40 to 50 years or so since the events of The Incredible, giving AI plenty of time to develop BNL. The toys rise up against Sid in the first movie. Jessie resents her owner Emily for abandoning her, and Lotso straight up hates humans by the third movie. Toys are obviously not satisfied with the status quo. So by the 2000s, all the superhumans are gone, and mankind is vulnerable. Animals who want to rise up Planet of the Apes style have the ability to take over, but we don't see this happen. Also, AI never tried to take humanity by force. Why do you think that is? Well, it's reasonable to assume machines did take over, just not as we expected. The machines used BNL, a faceless corporation, to dominate the world, starting in the 1960s after the Omnidroid failed. Defeat the Incredibles in each Toy Story movies is made painfully clear that sentient objects rely on humans for everything, for fulfillment, even for energy. Lose all life and put away in storage, unless put away in storage. When put away in storage, unless they are in a museum and they get seen by humans. So machines decide to control humans, and leads to pollution. So they are sent away on a spaceship, where they are constantly looked after. We know that machines will win the war too, because after this war there are almost no animals left on Earth. So who's left? Cars. On Earth, machines are left behind to populate the world and run things, explaining human landmarks and traditions still being promoted in cars. There are only some animals but no humans in this version of Earth because they're all gone. Why do we know the planet still has any human blah blah? Yeah. In Cars 2, we go to Europe and Japan, making it plain that this is taking place on Earth, and we know it. So what happened to the cars? We learned by now that humans are the source of energy. That's why they never got rid of them. There is an energy crisis in Cars 2. We even learned that All in All Corporation was using green energy as a catalyst for a fuel and all in all does mean the same thing as by and large. Which brings us back to WALL-E. Have you ever wondered why WALL-E was the only machine left? Well, we know the movie begins 800 years after humans left on Axiom, governed by autopilot, another AI reference. Could it be that WALL-E's fascination with human culture and friendship with a cockroach is what allowed him to keep finding fulfillment and the ability to maintain his personality? He remembered the times when humans and machines lived in peace, away from all the pollution caused by both sides. After WALL-E liberates the humans and they rebuild society on Earth, what happens then? During the end credits of WALL-E, we see the shoe that contains the lost plant. It grows into a mighty tree, a tree that strikingly resembles the tree in A Bug's Life. That's right, the reason no humans are in A Bug's Life is because they went on the Axiom and came back, meaning there are scarce amounts of humans left. But there is something strikingly different about A Bug's Life when compared to other Pixar portrayals of animals, which leads me to believe this takes place way in the future. The bugs have cities and advertisements and even their own machines, meaning they are way more advanced than any other animal before. So what happens next? Humanity, machines, and animals grow in harmony to the point where a new superspecies is born. Monsters! The monster civilization is actually Earth in the incredibly distant future. Whatever the reason, these monsters seem to look a lot like horribly mutated animals, only larger and civilized. They even have cities and colleges, as we see in Monsters University. In Monsters Inc., they have an energy crisis because they are in the future Earth without humans. Humans are the source of energy, but thanks to the machines again, with the monsters find a way to use doors to travel to the human world, only it's not different dimensions. The monsters are going back in time. They are harvesting energy to keep from the peak of becoming extinct by going back to when humans were most prominent, the peak of civilization. Monsters created the time travel, but realized messing up with time could erase their instinct and change history, so they falsely trained other monsters to believe that humans are toxic and from another dimension, making it suicide for a monster to interact too much in their world. Look at the picture. On the left is a trailer. On the bottom, there is a trailer from A Bug's Life, and the one on the top is the one from Monsters Inc. The one on the bottom looks way more older and crept, and more run down. Even the vegetation is noticeably more scarce. But the trailer on top is a lot more new. This is because they are the same trailer. And then there's Boo. What do you think happened to her? She saw everything take place in the future where Kitty was able to talk. She became obsessed with finding out what happened to her friend Sully. She remembers the doors and that they are the key to Sully in the first place. So she goes around and obsesses on how to find him and finds magic and becomes a witch. Yes, Boo is the witch from Brave. She figures out how to travel in time using the will-o'-the-wisps. And she keeps using her door to travel back in time and future in time to find Sully. Not convinced? Well, here's a carving of Sully in her shop and a carving of the Pizza Planet truck, which would make no sense unless she had seen them. So, this would also make sense as to why Merida could not find the witch later in the movie, as she was traveling around in time. So, that's the end. What do you think of the theory? Let me know in the comments. And do you believe it? I personally think it's a legitimate theory and that's really cool. That's all, guys. Thanks for watching.